Thank you Rad Power Bikes for sponsoring today's video in celebration of World Car Free Day. It feels good to get out of the house and out of the car. Power assist on our bikes means I don't have to struggle going uphill if I don't want to. Going to the grocery store was a piece of cake. We just added some baskets to our bikes that makes it fun and easy to haul our groceries home from the store. Going to the grocery store on our bikes felt more like a date than a chore. I love this time of year. I swear the day the children go back to school, the temperatures change. We're getting into fall and it's feeling crisp outside, and that means it's time to make a batch of vegetable beef soup. It is my all-time favorite meal to make. It lasts days. Maybe that's why I like to make it, because the leftovers are fabulous. But I like to make this vegetable beef soup. It is really a food. And I generally, when I make vegetable beef soup, I will also make a batch of bread and a batch of chocolate chip cookies. If I make one without the other, somebody's gonna say, where's the cookies or where's the bread? So we always have vegetable beef soup, bread, and cookies. These are all of the ingredients that you will need right here on my cabinet. The recipe comes from the Griffiths Family Recipes, and it is not available as a hardbound book, but you can order it as an ebook. And I'll do my best, if you don't want to order the book, to show you the recipe right here. And you can stop and take a screenshot of it if you'd like. When our family was making this cookbook, we sat down, decided what recipes we were going to put in it. And a lot of the recipes were not really written down recipes. When I make vegetable beef soup, I do not follow a recipe. I just use whatever vegetables I have available in the fridge, whatever. It always turns out great. You do not have to follow this recipe to a T. Absolutely don't. But I did make it one day, and I wrote down everything that I put in it, and that's how this recipe came about. So maybe this can be a starting point for you to create your own soup. Start with a 8-quart or a 10-quart stock pot like this. This is also a favorite of mine that I like to cook soups in. Today we're going to go with the red one. First thing you want to do is brown the meat. This is some stew meat. I've cut it up a little bite-sized pieces, and it's good and marbled, and it will really cook up nicely. So just dump that in the pot and brown this meat. And this right here is what will make this soup taste fabulous. Even if you burn it just a little bit. Now I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. I'm also going to add a tablespoon of salt. I'll sometimes add some beef bouillon cubes. If you are watching your sodium, then just skip this. The next thing I do is just pepper the heck out of it. I'm going to add 2 chopped up onions. I just love onion. All right, so my heat has been on high while I've been browning it, but I'm turning it down to about a 6 And I'm going to just fill that pot about half full of water. Turn the heat back up and get the water boiling, and then I'm going to turn it back down and let it simmer for a couple of hours. And I'm adding just a little more water. It will boil down. I'm not going to add the rest of the vegetables for a couple hours. I want that meat to just cook and get as tender as possible. In the meantime, I'm making bread and cookies. Okay, I changed pots. If you are going to follow this recipe, then you will need a 10 quart or 8 quart, and the little red one here is only 6. And it was not going to be big enough to add all of the vegetables that I have cut up for this. So either cut the recipe in half or make sure you've got a big enough pot to handle all this. One of my other favorite comfort meals is homemade chicken noodle soup. And we always had homemade bread with our chicken noodle soup as well, but we didn't have cookies, we had pie. Now why the correlation between that? But always if we had chicken noodle soup, Mom would make pie. We had beef stew, Mom would make cookies. I like to cut my potatoes in bite-sized chunks, a little on the big side. I think that it keeps them from getting so mushy when they're cooking. One of the reasons why I like this soup so much is because it's what I grew up on as a child. We grew up on a farm in Idaho, and we always had a cellar full of potatoes. My mom raised a garden. We always had carrots and onions, and we raised our own beef. So this was a staple at our home. Our beef has been simmering for a couple hours now. I'm going to add the carrots that we have cut up earlier, and as well as the celery. When I buy celery, I like to get the hearts. I like to have the little leafy stuff in it, but this package of celery, they didn't have any hearts, and so I just bought the stalks. But if you have the chance to buy the hearts, I'm going to let this cook for a little while before I add the potatoes. The potatoes is the last thing that I put in because I don't like my potatoes to fall apart, and the carrots take longer than the potatoes to cook. So I always put the celery and the carrots in, do something else for a little while, and then add the potatoes. When you're making this meal, it isn't that it takes so long at the stove or in the kitchen, but you just need to be home the day you're making it because it's kind of a process, especially if you're going to do the bread and the cookies or whatever you're doing. It's just one of those days that it's nice to be in the house. It's just really a pleasant day today. If you don't know this about potatoes, they will go brown if you're not getting to put them in the soup right away. So if you cut them up, you don't want to add them to the soup, just cover them with water. Carrots and celery are just about done, and it'll only take about 20 minutes now for the potatoes and then this will be ready to eat. Just as I was taking the bread out of the oven, look who got home from work. Not gonna be very, how many more days of work do you have?
49 days, 49 working
days. So then you will be home by my side.
December 31st.
Washing the dishes for me.
Paper dishes? Paper plates?
So I'm going to get us a bowl of soup. We've got our bread here. The soup is ready. Need to turn that off. It is off. And of course you can't have it all without cookies, right?
Oh, I'm so excited. I mean, I opened the door and I knew exactly what you were doing. It smells so good. Why do you make me laugh?
Well, it's your turn, Chad.
Oh.
It's your turn to test the food.
Oh, I thought you said it was my turn to pray. Well, I don't have to taste test the soup, the cookies, or the bread to tell you that it is just delicious. It's really, really good.
Thank
because
you.
I've been eating this for 40 years. The soup, the cookies, the bread, and it's always the same, and it's just wonderful.
Thanks.
And so just trust me. It's good.
I know that I made a big pot of it, and some of you are probably saying, oh, that's just way too much, but I'm going to fill a couple of quart jars and take them down to our daughter Julie, who just had her baby girl, and if she doesn't need them that night that I take them to her, we'll put them in her freezer, because this stuff freezes really well, and then she'll have it on some cold day that she doesn't want to cook, which is probably the day after tomorrow.
She'll eat it.
So don't be afraid of making a big batch. Oh, I've got my light in the background. I don't like showing that, but it's there. Anyway, don't be afraid of making a big batch. Take some to your neighbor. Take some to
A loved one.
and or
just
put them
freeze
in.
it.
Yep, or just freeze it. So, thank you for watching. Love you guys. Bye-bye. There's something freeing about riding a bike, having the cool air in your face, being close to your surroundings, and smelling the great outdoors. Thank you again, Rad Power Bikes, for sponsoring today's video and encouraging us to get out and move.